Hello everyone, welcome back to Isadora. It's really good to be back. Hope you're all having a good week. So today I'm going to be talking about the man you should not marry. Okay, so last week I had a lot to say about women, so I'm just thinking to balance it out a bit this week. This may be a bit of a long series because I don't like to put out too much negativity, so I want to balance it out next week by saying something a bit more positive, both about men and women. So anyway, so let's get right to it. So point one, this is the man I'll call the promise and fail. So this kind of man, what he does is he promises you the world. He meets you. He promises to marry you. He promises to do this for you. He promises to be faithful to you. He promises you the world, and he never fulfills it. Do you understand? This is the man that will drive you past his parents' house and then receive a fake call when he's almost there and say, "Oh, sorry, my parents are not around, and I really wanted to introduce you to my mom." He wasn't going there. So this is the man that would make empty promises. Do you understand? This sort of man you should never marry because it's never going to change. Even when you do get together in a marriage with him, he's only going to get worse. He's not going to change because he has gotten away with it so much whilst you're in the relationship that it can only get worse when he gets married to you. Do you understand? So this sort of man, you should never marry him. He keeps making promises. So if you have that man in your life that keeps making empty promises, don't get me wrong, sometimes you promise and you can't fulfill it for whatever reason, but I'm talking about the man that constantly makes promises. He promises to do this, he promises to be faithful, he's never faithful. He promises to do to introduce you to this, he's not going to do it. He promises to marry you, he's only going to use you and dump you. Point two, he's the promiscuous man, the player. Okay, so I mean, it gets to a certain age when a man should give up the player card, right? Like seriously, it gets to a certain age. I'm not saying when you're younger it's okay, but I mean, when you're younger, you're trying to sow your wild oats, right? So you can be shopping around. Basically, I'm not saying sleeping around. I'm saying shopping around, dating around. But it gets to a certain point when you should really trade down and become responsible, right? And I know they say that men are like polygamous in nature. It's true. At the same time, I also believe it takes a lot more willpower and strength to stay away from sleeping around. Do you understand? I'm not saying people don't make mistakes. People make mistakes all the time. Have you seen the women outside? Do you understand? So once in a while, I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying if it does happen, haven't you ever seen one of those guys that, you know what, let me even make it personal. I used to live very close to this man, right? I have never met anyone like him. He lives where I reside, but his family lives in another country, right? Is one of those people that he's so disciplined. I'm not kidding. He's so disciplined. Like even the wife knows how lucky she is. She doesn't monitor him. He's the one. It's the other way around. He's the one always wanting to talk to her. Do you understand? I mean, there's nobody to check this man, but he checks himself. Do you understand? He doesn't womanize. I mean, he's just absolutely perfect. I've never seen anything like it. And because we were so close, I had to get to know his family as well. Do you understand? One day I had to ask him, like, have you ever stepped out on your wife? And he said to me, I mean, it almost happened once, but you know, well, maybe it happened once or something, but ever since then he made up his mind he's not interested in that. If he really wants the company of his wife, he would travel out, and he's got a very good job. So it's not even like he's broke. He's got an excellent job. Do you understand? So he's like, if he needs the company of a woman, he will travel out, he'll go to meet his wife, and he'll come back. I mean, do you understand? Very disciplined. Nobody to check him. He checks himself. And do you understand? So when people say a man cannot stay alone, it's not because he's broke. He works in a multinational, right? So he gets paid in foreign currencies. He is wealthy enough. Do you understand? So it's not about that. He's just very disciplined. So I also believe that it takes a lot of strength and willpower. Now, the man you should not marry is that man that does not have the strength or willpower to hold back. Everything that moves is fine. It has a hole, I'm sticking it in. Do you understand? Everything that moves is okay. Do you understand? There's some men like that. This is the sort of man you should never marry. Outside of being exposed to all sorts of STDs and everything, it is highly irresponsible. Do you understand? For a man to be after every single woman. Man number 3 is the illusionist. This one can build up sandcastles. He builds up castles in the air. So this is the man that he's got it like that. He has the perfect car. He wears the perfect three-piece suit. He has everything. He's perfect. perfect. You meet him, oh my god, he's like a Ken doll. Do you understand? He looks perfect, he dresses nice, he's just perfect, he's just right. The problem is nothing belongs to him. The car might belong to him, but he probably doesn't have a house. Do you understand? He probably squats. The watch might be on rental. The suit might be on rental. This is the sort of guy that would take you to his friend's house and pretend it's his house. So you're like, oh, I've never been to yours, blah, 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 blah. Can I go to your house? Then he goes to tell his friend, oh, can I just use your house? You know, I just met this babe and everything. Do you understand? This is the perfect illusionist. This is the sort of man you should never marry. Do you understand? Nothing he uses belongs to him. Maybe the car. Do you understand? The first money he gets, he buys something to show it off. Do you get? Nothing else. He's probably squatting somewhere. Imagine somebody driving like a G-Wagon and squats with his friends in a room. Do you understand? Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's still playing. He's still a child. Do you understand? This is the man child. He hasn't grown up. He's not old enough or mature enough. So this is not the sort of man you should think that, oh, maybe when I get married to him, I can change him. There's no changing him. He's not there yet. He's still a toddler in a man's body. Point 4. This sort of man will cast you. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so this is the sort of man that he asks you out on a date. And then you agree. You're like, okay, yeah, fine. You know what? Let's just go out on a date. Let's have lunch. After lunch, he goes to tell his own boys, I slept with her. Are you kidding? This is the sort of man that will cast you. Do you understand? You have a conversation with him and somebody walks past. Okay, maybe you're standing with him and you're having a conversation and somebody walks past and is like, oh, that girl, she was really talking to you. Does she fancy you? He won't say no. He will go, yeah, you know these girls, you know these girls, you know these girls. Do you understand? This sort of man will cast you. Nothing happened, but lunch to them means they've had sex with you. Conversation to them means you fancy them. You do anything nice to them is because you're so in love with them and you're trying to win them over or snatch them from their girlfriends. That sort of man. Do you understand? This is the sort of man you cannot marry. He's a no-no. He's toxic. Point 5. This is the man with no real income. Don't get me wrong, he has money, but he has no real income. Like, he's the sort of guy that you meet and you say to him, like, what do you do? He's like, stuff. Yeah, what sort of stuff? You know, just stuff like importing, exporting, just, stuff and everything. Okay, so that's fine. Importing and exporting. What do you import and export? Stuff, just things like all these things that you can just import and export, things. Okay, so that goes past, and maybe you run into him at another time and then he's talking to another person about forex and you're like, oh, you do forex now? Oh yes, no, I do. Sometimes I just do forex, importing, exporting. The next time you see him, he's probably doing something else. So this is the sort of guy that just grabs money wherever it comes. I'm not saying that strong, don't get me wrong. Some people have their whatever they do and then look for like side hustles and everything, do you understand, just stuff to do. But no, this one has nothing doing. He just grabs money. Okay, somebody wants to change. Now he sells forex because he changed $200 for his friend, so now he's into forex. Do you understand? He's into importing, exporting because he sent food stuff to his family abroad. Now he's into importing and exporting. So he's the sort of guy that grabs opportunities and money wherever it comes. This is the sort of man you should not marry. Do you understand? He's not mature enough. He's not there yet. Do you understand? You can't marry this sort of man and then expect, to be a provider. He's not going to be a provider because he doesn't have any means. He's not even providing for himself. How's he going to provide for you? So my final point, the last sort of man is Picasso. This one paints pictures. He paints pictures. After breakup, he's going to destroy your image. Now, that's the sort of man you should never marry. How do you recognize this sort of man? When he talks about his ex. So if he meets you and he starts to tarnish his ex's image, oh, she's a hoe, she's a this, she's a that, blah, 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 you know you're next. Even, do you understand? You know for a fact that once things don't go right, he starts to tarnish your own image. So if you're laughing with him like, oh God, he's tarnishing his ex's image, he's calling her a hoe, he's calling her a bitch, he's calling her this, he's calling her that, and you're laughing because you're the one, do you understand, in his life at the moment, you have to be very careful because once it's your turn, he's going to do worse. Do you understand? So if he's comfortable enough to start talking smack about his ex to you, trust me, he will be comfortable enough to talk about you to the next person. So this sort of man would destroy your image. He will destroy it so much that he will make sure nobody else dates you once he's done dating you. And the way to tell is the way he talks about his ex. Do you understand? At some point, think about it. They were in love. Things were great. And he was talking about the ex before then. Do you understand? And then she went along with it. Do you get So think about it. Once you do something, or once it's over, or once you do something that doesn't go down well with him, it's going to be your turn. Do you understand? So he would talk smack. It would even be worse than his ex, because he wants people to know that you're the bad one. It's not him. It's not him, because he's not the one that is all breaking up with all those women and talking smack about them. Somehow it's got to be you. So even before you break up, he has started to tarnish your image. Once he meets somebody else, he has started to tarnish your image anyway. You just won't know about it. He has started to tarnish your image to everybody else. Oh, she's like, oh, I found out she cheated on me. Oh, no. So once you're still doing the lovey-dovey, he's already destroying your image, trying to make sure that nobody else dates you, because he doesn't even want anybody to come and ask you what happened. He will make sure no one else dates you once he's done with you. Have a beautiful week. Namaste. Stay blessed. Love you all. Bye.